that, we are using JSON in Snaplogic. We could have used XML also, but XML typically has some more limitations. So that's why they have gone for JSON. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
What else we have discussed? So JSON, it's fine. So what about pipeline parameters? Did we know what is the purpose of pipeline parameters? I want answers actually. I mean, I see people are keeping quiet every session, so I want answers in this session. So what do we do using pipeline parameters?
Uh,
So in pipeline parameter, we declare our the static values
Mm.
as a key value pair,
Okay.
and use those key from any of the snap for the name change, and
Mm.
somewhere else we have to use our snap within snap. Uh, yeah. So it
Okay.
is the mostly a static value we can declare into the
Mm.
pipeline parameter.
Mhm.
I think like where we can define the key and values.
Okay. Yeah. And session.
Yeah, pipeline parameters seem to be as a variable.
Mm-hmm.
So we can further change the values.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the actual purpose of the pipeline parameters is to pass the customized or a static values, right? So that's the actual purpose of having a pipeline parameters. So now, what is the purpose of expression libraries? So we have discussed this a bit in our earlier session. Did we go through what we have discussed in expression libraries or any small idea?
Yeah, these are the files which contains the reusable expressions. So
Mhm.
we can write a expression in a document, then
Okay.
we can further reuse in
Okay.
pipelines.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, the main reason or main purpose of having a expression library is to have, let's say, we are defining a pipeline or pipeline parameters, and we said that we are going to pass a static values, right? Or static values or customized values, which someone can come at some point of time and log into the pipeline. I mean, come to the Snaplogic designer and then change the values in the pipeline parameters. Let's say uh, I have defined a pipeline parameter of name. So I want to check whether that employee is there or not using that pipeline parameter. Okay, I have written a logic and I was checking maybe Manoj is there or not in the pipeline. I mean, using the pipeline parameters, whether the Manoj name is there or not in the source or not. I mean, I have defined a pipeline parameter with the name and value as Manoj, and I have written a logic like such. I am trying to check whether that name Manoj is available in the incoming records or from the source or not. So that logic is defined and done. And let's say in future, maybe tomorrow, I want to check for another employee, like maybe someone else, some XYZ. Okay, some XYZ, and we want to check the same logic. So what do we need to do now? We go back and log into Snaplogic again, go to the designer, and then change the value in the pipeline parameters. Right? That's what we have to do every time. Right? Correct or not? If I want to check each employee or one employee at a time, what I need to do, I have to log in again and change the value in the name in the pipeline parameters, and then run and check whether that employee is there or not, right? That is the basic scenario or basic way that we do generally. What if uh, a person like, I mean, who doesn't have any knowledge on designer, where the pipeline parameters or what do I need to change and everything, who is like a fresher to Snaplogic, okay, who doesn't know anything. So is it a feasible way that defining everything in a pipeline parameter, is it a feasible way that maybe in future someone has come which doesn't have any knowledge on logic, designer, on how pipeline parameters acts and how do we need to define what is the capture option there and everything, uh, I mean, does he know? I mean, uh, if he doesn't know any knowledge on that, will he be able to process or will he be able to do it correctly? Maybe not, right? It's not 100% sure. Maybe he could have done that and he could have not, correct? It's like 50-50 choice. So in that scenario, let's say a business consultant or someone from the business who doesn't have any technical exposure of Snaplogic wants to do the change of this name, right? The name that I have defined in the pipeline parameter, that changing of employee name every time wants to be done by someone who doesn't have knowledge of Snaplogic. So in that case, my feasible way is, I mean, one way I know is I can go to the pipeline and open the pipeline parameters and define a pipeline parameter there and then give the value and ask him to go and run it, that play button, right? That is one way. And let's say he doesn't have any exposure and he says that I don't know, I don't want to do all the stuff. Define me a different way or give me a different way where I can do all this stuff. I don't want to go to Snaplogic Designer and everything. There comes this expression libraries. Expression library is a file, as Sashank said, is a file which will have a data in a JSON format. So wherein that business consultant or who doesn't have knowledge on Snaplogic will have to upload that file to the Snaplogic manager and then refer that file to the Snaplogic designer. So as a developer, what we do basically, first of all, we go and design a expression library file at once for the first time. Okay. From the second time, what that business user do is we don't have to do anything. What we will let him know is just log in and then go to the design manager. Then he will be able to find a file. You just download that file, change the name of the value, okay, name and value, or maybe value itself because we are just checking for something, and then re-upload it back. In this case, you don't have to save you don't need to save anything, or you doesn't require to change anything in the pipeline parameters also, right? This is the only way that you can do where you don't need to touch anything. So for that, we need to define a file, a library file, right? We need to define a library file. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the main reason where we need a JSON, the expression library file will be using instead of pipeline parameters. So did we get, I mean, are we able to understand what is the exact purpose of using an expression library file instead of pipeline parameters? Basically, the purpose of both of them are same, to define some custom values or static values or a custom values that are required for the customer. Whenever he wants to change that static value, he will change it in future. That is the basic purpose. And why do we need both of them, pipeline parameters and expression libraries? Pipeline parameters are such wherein if there are any development required things, we can define it because end customer won't be seeing anything like such. But if there are any values that customer required to change, it is it is a suggested way that we put everything in an expression library file and define it in a JSON format and then upload it back to the Snaplogic and then use it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? I mean, uh, uh, many could have had this doubt that what is the main purpose of having these two. So, any questions?
So Manoj, as we declare into a file for the expression
Mm.
library, we can enhance our security too. I think when we declare the static parameter within the uh, pipeline, so
Mm.
is there the key and value both are the same. So of the developer can customize it or edit it. So when we declare into a file, we yeah, we are not able to customize the value of the key, right?
It's not particularly like that. Let's say you and me are the developers working on a project. You
Hmm.
have defined a file.
Hmm.
It's because I'm working on the same project. I will have the access also. I can download the file. I can change the file until and unless I know how expression libraries work and how I
Hmm.
can define a JSON value. I can do it. I mean, there is no problem. Security comes when, let's say, in the pipeline parameters, there is this capture option where, while running the I mean, once we run that, after that run is done, we are
Hmm.
seeing this pipeline statistics. If we go to the pipeline parameter section, we are
Hmm.
able to see the values. So that's
Hmm.
where the security comes. So if we want to enhance the security, that capture options will be switched off. I mean,
Hmm.
we uncheck that. But this is, that's where Snaplogic suggests that don't use any secured information or put any secured information in the Snaplogic or Snaplogic manager. Don't upload anything. For
Okay.
now, for our use cases, we are uploading that employee file and then
Hmm.
doing it. But the actual purpose or actual customer data will come from some other location, external location. You don't put anything in Snaplogic, only the configuration related stuff like, username and passwords. We also kept that because we can encrypt those values and then put it into file and then upload it back. Okay. We
Hmm.
basically do the encryption. They may see the username, but they cannot see the password because we do the encryption before. And some, sequence of characters where they have these special characters enabled within the string, and then we will be pasting that using some security mechanisms. So those sort of, I mean, I would say metadata sort of thing,
Hmm.
and as well as anything that we can customize or customer can customize at some point of time or change it. So those sort of informations we will basically put it in the configuration file or expression library file. Nothing on the data level or from the
Hmm.
source or anything related to employees, for example. So no, nothing like such. Maybe
Hmm.
name, but even if someone has come to Snaplogic and see that we have defined a name, they will not get anything because we have defined only name, but they don't know why are we using name and what is the purpose of it. As a developer or as we both are working on the same project, we might know what is the purpose of it, right? So
Hmm.
security, it has something, some other things, but
Hmm.
these two are a secured way, I say. So there is no security concerns on both these ways. So it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Any other questions? Okay, just a second. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So we will define a by we will try to put a use case with that, uh, having an expression library file like we did it for the pipeline parameters. So let me using expression libraries. Okay. So this is the pipeline that I have kept. So for that, as I'm using some different system, I don't have Notepad in my thing. So I am using some online Notepad. You can define anything. As I said, the JSON will be in double quotes, and then what is the value that I want to give? So this, and I will try to put some more information. EMPIP 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to put it in double quotes. Okay. I just want to define this and I want to save it with um, config.expr. So one thing we need to remember is expression library file should be, okay, should have the extension of .expr. Okay, the extension of the file or the expression file that we want to upload into Snaplogic should have the extension of .expr. Okay, save it. Let me download this. So let me see if I'm able to access it from Snaplogic. Sorry. Okay. Go to the file section. Oh, not this one. Go to the file section. I will try and upload that. TXPR file got downloaded. There is the TXPR. This one. Okay. Open. Upload. So as you can see, this is the way that we have kept it out here. Okay. What we need to do now is go to the pipeline parameter section and click on the expression libraries, this plus option, and then click on this pile of plate symbol, and then select the file that we want to select. What is the file? Config. Why did I name it as config? Because we put the configuration related stuff there. If we want to define, that's where I have defined as config. So if we want to give any alias name for this, I can name it as file config. I'm giving the name as file config. So if I can view this file, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it is, and this is how it looks like. Okay, let me see if I'm able to access it. I will let you know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So here, once we define our expression file, I mean, you can use any notepad. I don't have a notepad access, so I just used some online tool for that. And I have defined I mean, this config.expr file. Why did I, the extension as expr? As it is an expression library file, the file should be in the extension of .expr, and the data in that file should be in a JSON format. And once we define this, we go to the project that we are working it. Okay, this is the project, and once go to the file section and upload it, and then try and refer it out here. Okay, once you click on this plus, you will be able to open one section, and then click on this, and you will be able to map it out in the the file that we have uploaded in the manager. If we don't necessarily need to go it out there and upload it in manager. Once you click on plus, once you click on this, you can directly upload from there here itself, from the designer itself. Okay, so this is how we can upload a file. So let me define a parameter as well. So this is how a parameter key and value pair will look like, and this is how the key and value pair look like. But this is completely a raw JSON format. But here the data is a formatted way, or it is in a tabular format, and they have formatted everything. The purpose is same. Okay, but it is actually defined to the or particular to this pipeline itself, but wherein that config file can be referred to any of the file, any of the pipeline actually. Okay, we cannot move this parameter to another pipeline wherein we have to define a new parameter again. But the, if we are using a config file or expr file, uh, the expression library file, I mean, we can use it in any other pipeline, but it's not the way with pipeline parameters, because once we define this pipeline parameter here, this can be used within this pipeline, and there is other purpose that we can transfer this pipeline parameter to other pipeline using child pipeline and parent pipeline concept. But otherwise we cannot do it without defining a new parameter there. Okay, so this is how these both of them looks like. Let me define the employee ID as well for your reference. I mean, just for your reference, this is how we define here, and this is how we have defined it in the file. Okay, save it out. So how can we refer the value in the pipeline parameter in any of the snap? If a value is defined in a parameter, how can we define or how can we use that value within a pipeline? Question to
Uh,
everyone.
uh, by using the underscore.
Okay. So how do we basically refer? If if it is toggled, it has to be toggled, and then click on the drop down. There will be name. If there is a name, if we click on it, it will automatically give us with underscore name. If not, we can write it ourselves with underscore if the value is defined in a pipeline parameter, right? So if I give this name from maybe pipeline parameter, okay, and if I save it, if I validate it, I will get the result. So let's say I want to refer the same way, the value from the config file instead. So now what we have to do is there is a attribute called lib. So once we click the lib, it will get the values of all the libraries that are defined. Okay, if there is a library defined in the Snaplogic pipeline or in the designer, then it will read that file and it will give you the information. If you can see the final result to your right, there is this file config. Where does this file config has come from? We have given the reference. This is the reference value we have given, right? That's where it is giving us that file config, and then this is the JSON that we have defined, right? This is the JSON that we have defined in the file. Here the format doesn't have the double quotes and everything, but it's the way that is showing, that Snaplogic is showing, but we need to follow the format. Left side values should be enclosed in double quotes, and the right side values, if it is a string, the value should be enclosed within double quotes. If it is an integer, we don't need to put the double quotes. Okay, make sense? So we have to use this attribute called lib. What will the lib do is it will go and look at the expression library section of the pipeline and see if there is any config file or any expr file that we have defined. If it is defined, what this lib attribute will do is it will get that all information, right? And as it is a JSON will be in an object format, right? JSON is nothing but JavaScript object notation, right? Everything is object in JSON. It's like file config is an object, name is an object, employee ID is an object. File config is the reference or the key value for this complete value. Name is the object or reference for the value Manoj. Employee ID is an object or reference for the value of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? File for config has the value of this complete name and employee ID, right? And the name has the value of Manoj, employee ID has the value of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, everything is an object in the JSON. What is an object? Object is nothing but the reference that we give to the value. What is the value of file config? This complete bracket value. You know, this bracket to this bracket, this is called a value, and this is the reference, and we call it as file config object. So if we are saying that JSON is an object, the complete representation is in an object format, so how do we refer to that next value? What I want from this complete value, I want name, right? How can I get that? As I have provided the reference name, I have to put dot and then file config. Then it will go inside the file config. So if I put lib as a first expression or a first attribute, and after that dot will take you to the next value, and what I have want to refer here, file config. So it will go on inside file config. So as you can see, the value is given here. So once I click on dot again and then name, it will give me the name of the value, right? And if I say empid, it's going to give me the employee ID, right? If I say name, I will get it like this. So if I say lib dot file config dot empid, I'll get the employee ID, empid from expr, name from expr underscore emp id, emp id from pipeline parameters. Okay, so if you can see directly, there will be no difference in the values, right? If you can see, this is what we have defined in the expression library file, and this is what we have defined in the pipeline parameters. If I see it in a JSON format, so this is how it looks, right? Why it has a highlighted in 1 2 3 4 as dark blue? Because it is a number. As you can see, there are no double quotes specified. Snaplogic has given this extra color because just to let us identify that this is a number. But this number, see, by default it has common string. So the one thing that we have to define, or I mean that we have to understand, is everything that is defined in a pipeline parameter will comes as a string. Okay, will come as a string. If you want to convert it into the integer, you have to parse it. Okay, you have to parse it to convert that value into an integer. Every value that comes up from any value that comes up from the pipeline parameter by default will be in a string type. So now using a method called parsing, where we have passed the value of string to a integer. That's where int, parse value to int. Int is nothing but integer. So we have converted that string value to the integer. But once we define the value in a specific format in the file, see, the value directly has referred in an integer way. So whatever the format we take up in the file, it's like if it is in a string format or a number, it will directly represent here. But in pipeline parameters, if we define anything once, everything will be in a string format, and you have to do the explicit or external conversions or transformations or parsing to convert it to the required way, the way you want it. Okay, that's where I have used parsing. So this is how we refer the values from the expression libraries. Okay, so let me know any questions on, or do we identify the difference between the pipeline parameters and the expression libraries? Are we able to understand how are we referring to the value in a JSON? Right? The value, the complete file will be in a JSON. Likewise, there will be many number of, key value pairs that we can define according to the customer need. So what customer can do is, he doesn't need to come here. You just need to go to Snaplogic Manager, go to this file, download, and then change the values or add a new one. Maybe change it to Kumar. Maybe add a value, put comma here, and then insert a new value, and then upload it. He can directly come here and run it. He doesn't need to change anything. So that's the another use wherein the customer can have access to the Snaplogic, but he doesn't know anything, wherein he can just change the value in the file itself and then upload it back and then come here and hit on the play button. Or maybe if he has any trigger task or schedule task, he can enable it to run the pipeline as is. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Any question to this?
So when we upload the multiple JSON file into the expression library, so first when we call the lib, so all of the file will
All
showing there.
files, yeah, all files with different reference names will come.
Okay, and after that lib, we have to use the file
Use
name.
the reference name and then the contents of the file.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. One more thing here is, it is not necessary that you have to provide the reference name. It's not mandatory. If we don't provide the value, we don't see the value here. But as this is the reference name, it is not mandatory. If I remove this and save it, right, it will fail now because we have used the reference name. So to change that, what we need to do is remove this reference name and let 1 second. So if I do this lib, right, and then config dot dot config, right, these values will come dot name, right? Are you able to identify the difference now? As we have given the reference name or some other name here, it is trying to get the values from that name. But if we don't give the name, it is directly taking the name of the file, right? That's what I have done here. I have used the name of the file. If you want to put any reference name to this, that is well and good. You don't have any problem with that. You can put any other name. But if you don't want to define anything for some reason, or maybe that's the way you basically code. That's how you code. So then you have to refer that expression file library file with the file name, like the way I have done. But if I have provided any reference name, okay, likewise, I have to define it like that. File underscore config. File underscore config. Right? If we see the values, it has worked, and this is how we refer. Make sense? We can give the reference name or not, as it is not mandatory. If we don't give it, the file will be, or we can evaluate the file values using the file name directly. We don't need to have the alias name or the reference name.
Sir, please repeat it again.
So basically, as I said, we have to upload the file here. Once we upload the file, we can give the value But I am saying that it is not mandatory. If we don't define a value, it is also okay. But the way we want to refer the value changes. Here, I have used file config because earlier I have used file config here. But now, if I want to refer now, it should be referred by using the file name. What is the file name? We have defined config. Config is the file that we have defined, name as defined. So now I have to refer it directly using the config and then validate, and then you will get the values. The only difference is this alias name is not mandatory. We can have it or not based on our way we code it. If we are having it, refer it using this name after lib dot use this name. If not, use the file name of the file, which is lib dot config dot the values in the file. It could be name or employee ID something. Make sense? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, Manoj. Actually,
Mm.
I have a doubt.
Mm.
Can a key store the multiple values?
Which key you're speaking?
Uh, is it is in parameter where we use, yeah, the name and the value as a Manoj. So multiple value can be stored into a single key, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
We can do
so
it in multiple ways. One way is to
into
define
the array set.
array,
Okay. Mm,
put it in double quotes.
okay.
And
Because of a string.
Kumar,
Mm,
Kumar, okay.
mm,
And if not, I can define like this as well, okay. But
mm,
I have to code it in such a way that it will work. So now underscore name, right? Dot like there are some methods as I said, right?
yeah, yeah.
So if I do it like
Mm,
this, I will get the values. Manoj Kumar. Okay, you have to use different, string functions and array functions.
mm,
It defines, I mean, it differ the way you actually define this. I mean, if you directly do it in an array, name of
mm,
0, name of 1 would work.
mm,
But as
mm,
you have defined everything in a string, separated with a comma, and you want different values, then you have to use a specific method. I have used split, but you could have used other method also. But there is
mm,
a split method on string where
mm,
I can split the values and then take the first value, because arrays will start at 0. The values in an array start with 0, right?
index number. Okay.
The index starts at 0 and
Mm,
the second index starts at 1. So likewise, I can do it. I mean, I can do the same thing in the file as well, where after this lib dot name dot something, I would have put
mm,
something 0 like this. I mean, after the split. So if I have kept 0, it is taking the first letter of my Manoj
mm.
something,
Oh,
right?
name, yeah.
So
Mm.
that's how it is actually. Okay.
And you said the value, it will be a empty at the key. We have to provide the key, and value should be a empty or a null, right?
In pipeline parameters or expression
Yeah,
parameters.
yeah. In pipeline parameter.
So if I put it as empty, right? Yeah.
So as the same for the key, uh, I I just supposed to can I do the same for the key as
So
we,
what
yeah,
what
input
will be
the
the
key,
purpose? See, I can. You want me to do it like this? So if
yeah.
I do it like this, if I have value,
Value
will you
here.
be able to refer it?
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, if even if Snaplogic provides us with the capability that you have defined something like this, so will you be able to refer? Because only way that you can refer to any object is using key, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Without key, will you be able to access? But here, here this is a reference. This is an alias name. It's not alias name. This is the object key, actual key.
Hmm.
This is an alias where we can remove. Even if we remove, there is a file. Snaplogic
Hmm.
itself will understand that, okay, alias name is not provided. I will go with the file name. But if
File
we
name.
remove the key, how will I be able to, use?
Access the value. Okay.
See,
Hmm. Okay, got it.
yeah, because key is something mandatory. Without key, you cannot.
Enter any value.
Yeah, you cannot refer to any value within pipeline parameters or maybe within the JSON file or the config file.
Hmm.
Make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, team? Yes, no, maybe. Any other questions? Or does someone need any more clarification? Why do we need expression libraries, or why do we need uh, pipeline parameters, and what is the actual purpose? For any customized values or custom entered values or custom related values, or where customer wants to change at some point of time, we basically define a pipeline parameter or a expression library file. That is the basic purpose. And we have both ways. We define the values in a specific manner. Whether we go for pipeline parameters or a file, it depends on the way you want to code or a design. Once you design it, your end customer is a technical person. There is no problem that you can define a parameter. But if the value has to be changed by someone, sorry, if the value has to be changed by someone who doesn't have exposure to Snaplogic, who does have access, but he knows only logs in and logs out. But everyone has knowledge on files, right? And let let the customer know that this has to be value that you need to change. He will just go to that section, go to the name reference, and then change the value from honors to someone else. So he just needs to do that and then come and run. That's it. He doesn't want to, or he doesn't have to change anything. Any questions? We are good. Yes. No.
No, sir, from my side.
Okay. What do you want? Or what is the? Uh, I mean, what is the doubt you have on that?
So Manoj, in live project, how it is work? So as a pipeline, yeah, parameter or the expression, yeah, libraries. So I just need a clarity on into a live project, how it is a work and how it is a help for us.
So as I said, configuration details, like let's say you want to connect to database.
Hmm.
Database needs some credentials like
Hmm.
usernames and password, what is the port and everything. Likewise, you want to connect to Salesforce. Salesforce needs some connection settings, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
We go to the account and basically create an account for that. But we have to provide the values for that, correct?
Okay.
So that values, the configuration related values, let's say if I go to accounts, for example, I'm showing there could be many things that we can store. But for
Hmm.
example, for your purpose, I'm just telling you, I want to create, oh, yeah, just a second. I want to create an SQL server account.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have selected one of the account. So the values that I have to provide here, right? Database name, username, password, and the host name. Host name is nothing but a server which I want to correct. These values I can hard code here, but hard coding doesn't make anything useful, right? In some point, I want to change the environment. If I hard code here, every time I have to come here to this account and
And
I have
change
to
it.
change.
Mm.
But I don't want to touch anything on the Snaplogic, but I want to change the account. Then in that case, I will define an expression library file with the configurations, with the accounts and everything. Okay. I will provide the usernames and passwords as well, but those will be in an encrypted way. That will be coming to here and then use it out,
Mm.
so that I don't want to touch anything. So that's what I'm telling you from starting. Person who doesn't have any Snaplogic exposure, doesn't want to do anything on the Snaplogic, can do it using the expression library file. You just need to go there and change the value, because we already define the JSON. As a developer, as a first instance, I will already define a JSON. He just want to go there and change the value, because he does have the value with him. Okay, this is one of the example for creating an account. Maybe I want to change the task some way. I mean, at some point of time, I want to change the values in a task. Maybe
Mhm.
not like accounts. Any other things. I mean, the customized value that I want to refer it in the pipeline. Let's say like name. Customer has some custom value like some salary or something related to him, that he wants to define there, and he wants to change it at some point of time, that he can do it in the real time. I mean, just needs to change the file and then upload back to the Snaplogic.
Yeah. Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And someone else said no. So what is your question? Hello? Someone has said no. He
Sir,
doesn't.
sir, I say no question from my side actually.
Oh, I thought, I mean, you did not understand anything. Okay. Any other questions? Are we able to get it clearly? This is one of the major block that we need to understand, because in real time we have to use the expression libraries and pipeline parameters parallelly. For that, we need to understand what is the actual purpose and when can we use which. So did we get that clear?
Yes, Manoj.
Okay. So the task for you all is, okay, define a pipeline. Okay. Define a pipeline wherein, and use expression library file as well as parameters. Write a logic wherein it has to check the values from source. Let's say there is a value coming from source as customer name. It has to check that value with the pipeline parameter and use another route. Maybe use copy or something. You use another route and then check the value from the expression library this time, and do not send those values. Do not send those values which are matching to the values that we have put it in pipeline parameter and expression library file to the target file. Got it? Any questions?
No, will you please repeat the
Yeah.
last
The
section?
task for you is read the source. You will get some data. Use both pipeline parameter and expression library files. Okay. Once you read the source, use copy, and then the actual logic comes here, wherein the value defined in parameter, okay, pipeline parameter, should be checked with the value of the source. Okay. And if the value is present, don't send that record to the next snap. Let's say there are 10 records. Okay. I have defined a variable called name. I'm checking the value Manoj with the customer name. Customer name equal to Manoj or not equal to Manoj, some logic. Okay. If that record is matching, then the output of the snap that you are going to use will be 9 records, but the input is 10 records, because my logic or the task that I want you to do is remove that record completely if that variable or the value that is defined in pipeline parameter is matching with the value coming from source. That is one thing. And then in the second route, do the same logic, but this time refer the value from expression library file, and do not send that value to the destination, to the file, right? Any questions? Got it?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, did I will check it tomorrow for sure. So this is a bit a level up from the ones that you are doing till now. So I want you to perform this validation correctly and get back to me with the the task, completed task tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Or let me know if you have any questions or something that you want me to uh, anything on the task. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will look at another snap. We will discuss about another snap. It's just a basic snap. I will let you know. Uh, so how do we checking, or how are we checking the data validations till now? What are the snap we have discussed to check the data validation? We have discussed couple of snaps, I mean 2 snaps, wherein we can perform the data validation. What are those 2 snaps? We can perform any sort of data validation using those 2 snaps. What are those 2?
The one is router.
Okay, and router is correct, and
Second is short.
no, the second one is filter. So
Yeah.
basically, router, as I said, it is an if-else condition, right? If this condition, otherwise go to the next output. But filter is something only if condition. Only if that is done, okay? If that logic or expression that I have applied in that snap is set to true, then only allow the value. So it's like a if statement. So those two are the condition, the data validation snaps that we have discussed. How am I able to call them as data validation snaps? Because we are validating the input data using those 2 snaps. That's where we call them as data validation snaps, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So likewise, we can use the other. Let me just copy the first 2 values from here. Like, filter and router, there is another snap given by Snaplogic, where we can perform the uh, you know where we can perform the validation, data validation. So that snap is nothing but a conditional snap. So conditional snap, if we go to the input and views, it has one input and one output. Maximum one input we can provide, and maximum of one output it can provide. Okay, we don't have multiple views like router. Okay, it does have only one input and maximum of one output. If I go and look at, oh, okay. If I go and look at the info, purpose, models, and if statement, right? Filter is also if statement, if I say it correct, right? Before we have discussed it, correct? Conditional does the same purpose. So let me validate it. So if I see the value here, these are the values that are coming. So in this, I will provide the expression. Okay. I will check if employee ID not equal to empty, then return employee ID target emp. I just want to have, if I want to provide a default value, if everything is null, I can provide the default value and I can provide the default path as well. Null safe access you already know. Let's see how it behaves now. I have done something. So let's see how it behaves here. So it has provided me same thing. It does not do anything. But what does the filter snap do? If I provide that sort of expression like employee ID not equal to empty, right? Then what does it do? Basically, it will remove those two records, right? If you remember the filter session, if I put this sort of expression like employee ID not equal to null, there are two values with null. So the filter snap will only give me the values which have values. I mean, which has values. Employee ID does not null. Those values will come, but the other values will not be coming here. So why is this happening? So the conditional snap works in such a way. There is a JavaScript ternary operation. There is a concept called ternary operation in JavaScript. So conditional snap does the data validation, but it acts as like a ternary operation. It does not remove the data from the input. It will provide the same number of inputs to the same number of outputs. It's like, let's say if there are 10 input records coming up, and it will provide you the 10 output records only, but here it acts as a ternary expression. So if you go to JavaScript document, you will able to search ternary expressions. You will be able to see a syntax where employee ID not equal to null, empty, question mark, value, colon, value. So this is a syntax of a normal JavaScript. So it does the same thing where I have written an expression here like not equal to null. If not equal to null, what do I said to this? I said that give me the same value that is coming from source. I have put not equal to null. Whenever it is not equal to null, then put the value as same. Okay. Then give me the values in emp ID. So if I see the emp ID, it has given me the same value. But let's say I want to check if employee ID double equal to null, then give me I will just put it as amp. Okay. Let's see what will be the value here now. So if I validate it, it will just provide me the values. And then if you can see, as I have given the same target pair path, the values are replaced. But if you see wherever the value is null, it has turned everything into temp, because the value that I have provided here as temp. If you see, the value has turned into temp. But this value should be number for your reference or just to know how it looks or how it acts. I am showing you this. Makes sense how we can use the data validation? It's like a ternary operation in JavaScript, basically. Okay. We use the conditional operator or conditional snap, wherein it will take all the input documents and perform the data validation based on certain condition. It will provide all the values and replace the value if you have any return value specified. Okay, if the condition is matching, then according to that, it will replace the value that we have defined and it will place it in the target path. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and see, if there is a default value option that also they have given here, right? Right. So what does this do? This default value will do is 1, 2, 3, 4. I will keep the same target path. Let's see what will it return. Can you see what it has done? The expression that is valued or validated here has come as temp. Other values which are coming as true has turned everything into 1, 2, 3, 4, because in the default value, when there is this expression which are following as false, so the true values, if there is a true, it's like employee ID equal to true. If that is true, it will return this value. Otherwise, if we return, if the value does not return anything, let's say it is false, then it will go to the default value section. It will check for the value if we define any default value or not. If the value is not defined, it will provide the same value from the input. If the value is not, if the value is defined here, it will just overwrite everything and it will provide only this value. But if the value is not provided anything in the default value section, it will provide the exact value that is there before in the employee ID. Make sense? See the difference that you can see here. So I have removed everything. If you see, I have validated an expression or I have put an expression here. If I just have it, the other values are 198, 199, 200. These are the exact values coming from source. But the values that I told it to replace is temp, right? But now, for some reason, I am telling that replace everything which are false as 1, 2, 3, 4. So, employee ID. I'm giving the same reference or the value to the target path. Then I see that the every value will be replaced with the same value 1, 2, 3, 4, because out of 10 records, 2 records has satisfied this condition. Other 8 records will come to this default value because the condition is false here. The false will set 1, 2, 3, 4 for all the 10 records. But let's say if I have not given anything here, it will take the exact value of employee ID coming from source. Make sense? So there is another way also. Without using the conditional snap, we can do it. The same purpose of conditional snap can be we can do it using a JavaScript ternary operation. I will show you how we can write that ternary operation. I'm just taking a copy. So where we can write it, we have to use the mapper snap for that. So what I wanted to do here, if employee ID double equal to empty, then question mark, then send temp, else send employee ID itself to the employee ID. Pass through. So see the output of conditional snap. It is providing these values and temp in between. See the values of mapper snap. It is providing all the values. It is providing or giving the value temp when there is an empty. So this has empty at 2 places. 202 is not there. 206 or something is not there. We have replaced using conditional snap. Okay, directly writing the condition here, and else we have written a ternary expression. This is how we write a ternary expression. After the condition, it should be a question mark and then first value, after that colon, and after that second value. This is the syntax of ternary expression. This is what we have done using the conditional snap. This is what we have done using the conditional snap. The other way around is using the ternary expression in the mapper itself. If you know the JavaScript well, you will go and write it in the mapper itself. Or you don't have much exposure. What you do is you use the conditional snap. Using anything is okay. I mean, both of the snaps. You can use any of these snaps here. Any questions now?
Yeah, where to prefer condition snap and mapper snap?
No, it's up to you. If you know JavaScript well, you know how to write the JavaScript ternary expressions and everything, we can use the mapper itself. You don't need to go to the conditional snap. But if you don't know much of that, you can use the conditional snap. Snaplogic has given this capability wherein you don't necessarily know everything in JavaScript, but you can use this snap. But using of this snap, you should know. If you know that, you can get the value accordingly. Otherwise, you can use the, or if you know JavaScript well, you can directly write it using the ternary expression itself without going to the conditional snap. So it's the way you code it. Or if you know it well before, you can use the mapper. Otherwise, you can go for the conditional snap. Using any of the thing is okay. I mean, it's not mandatory that you have to use any one of these. It's not like that. You can use any one of these both.
Okay.
So in the conditional snap, we have to use a default value there. Uh,
Default
so
value, it's not mandatory.
it's not
If you,
mandatory.
if
Okay.
you want to put it, you can use it. If not, leave it as is.
Okay. So in the ternary operator, we have also used that kind of logic.
Yeah. Remove the employee ID here.
Okay, and put the value there.
One,
Okay,
two, three, four. It will give you that.
same. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hmm.
That's what I have done here also.
Hmm.
I have kept this. If I kept it empty, it is giving the employee ID directly. Otherwise, the value that I have kept it in the default value, it is coming up there.
Hmm. Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Are we clear on pipeline parameters using JSON and then referring it in expression libraries? You are refer to the values in an expression libraries to the snap, how we can refer to that snap, and then using the conditional snap along with the ternary expression. So are we clear on these concepts that we have discussed today?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by this, I'll take a halt. Let me know if you have any questions. So you got, I mean, you have understood the task as well, right? It is clear to you. You don't have any confusions on that. Or if you have any confusions, just let me know now itself. Or is there anything that you want me to let you know? I mean, is there anything that you want me to reiterate or things? Because we have some time left still. If you have any questions, I can explain you on that. Otherwise, I mean, it's up to you. No one has any questions?
So Manoj, in future session, we have to also familiar with the ultra task and
That is way
schedule task.
advanced. it's way advanced to you, ultra
Hmm.
task. So you need to understand the basic snap logic first, how you can write the logic and how you can connect the snaps. Ultra tasks are something advanced. Maybe one session we will just brief you what it is, because we cannot do the ultra task session also, because we need some huge amount of data to see the transaction. But I will let you know how you can create an ultra task and how it will act, but we cannot see the live session on that. We need a separate environment altogether for that. But I can give you a brief, I mean a session, a
Hmm.
theoretical session on that actually. But that is way advanced for you all. Before that you have to know how you can write many logics or different logics using Snaplogic.
Okay.
Yeah. No one has any questions? Uh, Seshan, any questions?
No, not now.
Okay. So I think Prashant, we can wind it up if no one has any questions actually.
Okay, sure, Manoj. So thank you, team. Thank you, Manoj.
Thanks everyone.
So subscription features is also, I think Manoj left. Sorry.